Just a quick disclaimer before we get started. I'm not an expert doctor, nutritionist, or personal trainer. I'm simply sharing what I did, what worked for me, and the results I achieved. For a while, I was feeling uncomfortable in my own skin, so I finally decided to try and do something about it to make myself feel better. I'm not suggesting that everyone should do the same thing, and I know that everyone's body and circumstances are different. This video is just my personal experience, and I hope it might give you some ideas of encouragement if you're on a similar journey.
You wouldn't believe how many times I've tried to film this video and failed. I filmed 15 minutes of it about an hour ago and realised I forgot to clean the lens on the camera and it was all blurry. And I had to throw that one away. And I've just spent about half an hour trying to get the blimmin' microphones to work, and one of them's ticking and I don't know what's wrong with it. And I started recording and all you could hear was tick, 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 tick. So let's try again. Okay. This skirt that I'm wearing has spent the last 5 years of its life in a bag ready to go to charity. And I haven't been able to wear it because it's been too tight for me, much, much too tight. And now it suddenly fits again. So I've taken it out of the charity bag and I can wear it again and I'm thrilled. And a few people have started noticing that I have lost some weight, and today I'm going to tell you what I did. Because I'm surprised that I managed to lose some weight. Now, let's just start from the very beginning. I have never had to think about weight in my life up until the last few years. I was always very, very skinny as a kid. I'm going to show you some photos of when I was younger so you get an idea. But for my whole life, I was like almost underweight and never put on weight. The only time I ever put on weight was when I was pregnant. And even then, I lost it within about 5 weeks of having Sky. So thinking about what I've eaten and thinking about what I look like has never been on the radar for me. Up until the last 10 years, I suppose, when slowly things started to change, as they do with menopause, perimenopause, and all that stuff. So I slowly did start to put on weight. 3-4 years ago, I realised that everything felt uncomfortable and tight, and realised that I wasn't a UK size 10 anymore, and I had to step up to a UK size 12. And that was fine. I was completely fine with that, thinking, yeah, that's fine. I mean, that's what happens when you get to around about 50-ish. It's perfectly normal. And I just adapted and bought new clothes. But in the last 6 months or so, even those clothes were starting to feel tight, and I was starting to feel very uncomfortable with myself. In fact, for the last couple of summers, I was not really wearing my shorts anymore, or I didn't want to be seen in a swimsuit anymore. And I've never, ever been embarrassed about what I look like. I've never cared. I mean, more than anything else, I've never cared what I look like in shorts or a swimsuit. But in the last couple of years, I was quite surprised and shocked and embarrassed with what I looked like, because I didn't feel like myself. I think that was it more than anything else. I didn't feel like me anymore. I felt like some imposter had come and swapped bodies with me, and I had this other body that wasn't mine. And I didn't really think about doing anything about it. Up until Dad phoned in January and said, hey, we're going to go to Abu Dhabi, and the hotel we're staying in is on a beach and you can swim and there's a pool and all this. And I just thought, there's no way anybody is seeing me on a beach in a swimsuit. I've got to do something about this. Also, round about that time, I think in November, I bought a pair of trousers, and in December, I couldn't put them on. I mean, they just didn't fit. And I kept thinking to myself, why did I buy these trousers that were too tight for me? It wasn't the trousers that were too tight. It was me eating too much. So, so I decided to take a radical look at what I was eating and try and do something about it. And I think the main thing here to understand is that I was more fascinated by the fact that was it possible to actually do something about my shape and change anything at my age. So I'm 52. So menopause and all that is happening. I just was really curious how easy it is, because I think on my Instagram feed, I've seen lots and lots of before and afters of these really toned, muscly women in their bikinis in their 50s and 60s and 70s, and lots of very chubby, flabby before photos as well. And I just thought, how easy is it to do that? I want to try. I want to see if it's possible and how long it takes. So with the incentive to maybe losing a couple of kilos or so for when we went to Abu Dhabi, which of course then never happened because of the war, I decided to knuckle down and do something about my diet. So first of all, I looked at what I was eating. I basically kept a food diary, and I wrote down honestly, just for myself, everything that I was putting in my mouth. And I very quickly realised that I'm a huge snacker. I graze all day long. And I didn't realise how many snacks I was eating. And I totted up the calories of just the snacks. So not the meals, not breakfast, not lunch, not dinner, just everything I was eating in between. And it came up to 1,000 calories worth of snacks, which is a lot. So that was, for instance, what would I be snacking on? So, well, first of all, my breakfast wasn't healthy. It was 2 slices of toasted bread with lashings of salted butter and Dad's homemade jam, sometimes Nutella. I mean, that was my breakfast. It wasn't healthy. Then around about mid-morning, I'd have maybe a couple of cookies or biscuits, or if we were at a bar, I'd probably get a cornetto or a pastry or something, and I'd have that with a cappuccino. And then while I was cooking lunch, and generally lunch and dinner are pretty healthy. I don't fry stuff. We don't eat takeout. We don't really eat ultra-processed food. So our meals are healthy, but while I was cooking, I would constantly be eating things. So I'd slice off a big piece of cheese and eat that while I was cooking, or have some olives, or I don't even know, I can't even remember now, but yeah, lots of things. And then after lunch, I would normally have something sweet. So I'd have a piece of chocolate. Sometimes I'd have like a stick of Twix. I'd never eat 2, in Twix you get 2. I'd only ever eat 1, and I'd give Carlo the other one. And we both have something sweet after lunch. Sometimes we'd have a bit of dessert if there was any around. And then mid-afternoon, I'd again have a cup of tea and a couple of cookies. And while I was cooking dinner, I'd often have a bowl of crisps and maybe another snacking on something again while I was cooking. And then after dinner, we'd have a bowl of ice cream or some dessert or something. And then around about 9:30, 10 in the evening, I'd have a bowl of cereals, because Sky would do that. And I've done that all my life, have evening cereals. And it was just way too much. So I realised very quickly that all I had to do really was cut out the snacks. And I knew it was going to be hard. So I downloaded an app on my phone called, I think it was called Chronometer, where you log all your food, everything you eat, and you can take a photo of your meals or whatever and log it all. And it gives you an idea of how many calories you're consuming, your macros and all that stuff, which I didn't really even understand what it was. But I thought, I'm going to do it. I've got to track it, and I've got to learn when too much is too much and how much I should be eating, because I need to know how much I'm eating. The other thing I did was run it all through ChatGPT. I basically, let me just go into it so that I can basically go through it with you. I went into it and I said, I'm a 52-year-old woman. This is how tall I am. This is how heavy I am. I'm trying to get fit using small weights, body weight, and lots of walking. I want a calorie deficient, high protein diet. I'm happy to eat the same 3 or 4 meals over and over. For lunch and dinner, I'm still figuring it out. I'm happy to eat chicken breast, lean minced beef, eggs, squash, cottage cheese, tin tuna, fresh salmon, cod. But I'm not sure about portion sizes and combinations. I'm not allergic to anything, but I hate coriander. Can you make me a meal plan? My no negotiable is a piece of chocolate after a meal. So ChatGPT came back and said, you're doing a lot right already. Your food choices, activity level and consistency mindset are exactly what works for women in their 50s. This is about tightening the dials, not overhauling your life. So it basically gave me my stats and it said my estimated calorie needs and my protein target is 105 to 120 grams of protein a day. And then it went through my breakfast, told me to use less banana, just sort of gave me some tips on how to tweak my breakfast. And then it started giving me lunch options, which were pretty boring. So 130 grams of grilled chicken breast, big plate of roasted or steamed veg, tuna and cottage cheese plate. I don't think I ever had that. So when it said lemon, pepper, mustard, I was like, oh, okay, so I can use lemon, I can use pepper, I can use mustard. I've got to be careful with olive oil. But I started figuring out quite quickly that vegetable-wise, I could pretty much eat whatever vegetables I wanted. I needed to get the protein in. So I started planning meals that I actually enjoyed around the suggestions that ChatGPT gave me. And also just by looking on Instagram at what other people were doing. And I found lots of meals, for example, the burger bowl, which I'm pretty sure that I've shared on a video. Where did I share that? That's one of our favorites and it tastes so good. And you don't feel like it's a weight loss meal at all. It's such a good meal. And I gave it to some friends who are real eaters and they loved it as well. Anyway, so I started doing this plan and the first month was so hard. It was really, really difficult. I felt like I was starving the whole time, but I kept going. And you know what really, really inspired me? Watching Sailing the Vagabonds videos, because Elena especially and Riley, they're both so fit and toned at the moment and they look amazing, even though they're like 20, 30, I don't know, a lot younger than me, but they look so good. And I've seen it happen gradually with them over the last couple of years. And I just thought, my God, yes, that is an inspiration. Look at her toned arms, look at her stomach. I might never get to that, but it's an inspiration and it makes you try harder. So I managed to get through that first month, feeling hungry the whole time until my body adjusted to not stuffing itself with all those snacks that I was eating. Now, I had some non-negotiables. I knew that I wasn't going to survive without something sweet after a meal. So I told ChatGPT that my non-negotiable would be a square of chocolate. So here we go. Can you have 70% Lindt chocolate daily? Yes, non-negotiable sweet is allowed. Portion, 1 square or 10 grams. I had it after lunch and dinner. I had to have it both. But then I also I found a dessert on, well, I experimented with lots of desserts and healthy and protein desserts and stuff that I found on Instagram. And there was one that worked that I've sort of tweaked a bit myself and it saved me because a couple of spoonfuls of this, or I think I would weigh out like 70 grams and I'd have it when I really, really needed something sweet and it is so good. So basically it is, you get a pot of, what's it called in English? Cottage cheese, a big tablespoon of cocoa powder, some drops of monk fruit sweetener or whatever sweetener you're using, and a scoopful of protein powder. Put it in a blender and blend, and you've got the most amazing chocolate dessert. And yeah, I pretty much had that every day. In fact, I've always got it in the fridge. Let me show you. I've just made a new batch now and this is it here. And it's just a goopy, gooey chocolate dessert that is high in protein, low in calories and really, really good. So good. It's almost like chocolate cheesecake. Really good. Carlo is drilling or sawing or something outside, so we're going to go upstairs where it might be a little bit quieter. Hello, Holly-Poo. Holly-Poo. I don't think it's going to be any quieter at all up here. Another thing is exercise. So I'm not very good at exercise. I don't go to a gym. I haven't been to a gym for years and years, and I've never really enjoyed going to a gym. So I thought, if I'm going to do exercise, I'm going to be doing it at home by myself. So I redid this whole room so that I had somewhere nice to do it. And I bought myself a set of dumbbells. So I've got 5 kilos or 11 pounds and then going down. So I'm actually going to get some heavier ones as well soon, because I'm using these ones more than anything else now. I've worked my way up to the heavier ones. So I've been doing half an hour workout every other day. And I just follow workouts that I find on YouTube. I just type in 30-minute dumbbell workout with, or booty band workout. And I just find one that I like the look of and get down and do it. And I'm doing it in the afternoon. I just find that's the time that works best for me. I'm too sleepy in the morning. In the morning we do a dog walk. And another thing, I made sure that I upped my walking, but then I realized quite quickly that we actually do walk enough every day anyway. Our dog walk is generally about, if we're going to talk steps, our dog walk is generally about 6,000 to 7,000 steps. And then naturally just walking around the property, gardening and all the stuff we do in the day brings us up to 10, 12,000 steps easily every day. So that's something I didn't have to worry about. But I do have to force myself to knuckle down and do a half-hour workout with my dumbbells, strength workout, every other day. I did one yesterday, so I don't have to do it today. Now that it's getting warmer, I'm trying to add in some swimming in the pool. So I'm just doing, at the moment, I'm working myself up. So I'm doing about 12 to 15 circles, like a hamster in a hamster run, going around and around in the pool every day. Yesterday it was a bit cooler and windier and it was too cold to go in, so I didn't. But I'm just trying to do it. Because I've noticed that the weight has come off easier. Not in the first month. I didn't lose any weight in the first month. But after the second month, it just started gradually going down. But I'm not toning up as quickly at all. So that's taking much, much longer. I'd love to have toned arms. They're getting there. I don't have this big, like, what's it called? It's got a funny name, hasn't it? Bat wings or something. I don't have huge bat wings anymore, but it is still a bit floppy there. And I'd love to tone that up, but I feel like I'm already halfway there. And I'd love to tone up my tummy to... I don't think I'll ever get it to like what it was like before I was pregnant, but that's fine. I mean, I'm 52. It shouldn't be anyway. But as if I can do anything that makes me better, I will. And what I have noticed is that I'm finding it much easier when I have to squat down. Before I started doing workouts, if I was getting up and getting down, I'd do and I'd make that terrible noise, the old people noise. And now I'm not doing that anymore. I can go up and down as easy as I want, and I'm not making old people noises anymore, which is great. So yes, that's basically what I've been doing. There's no secret formula, there's no shortcut. Yeah, I just feel much more confident. I feel much happier. My clothes are all fitting better, but some of my jeans are now too big and I've had to buy some smaller jeans. Well, now I've got both sizes, so I can fluctuate. But now that I've managed to cut out all that snacking, I think I can probably stay at this weight where I'm happy. So that's it. That's what I've done. And it was all quicker and easier than I thought, apart from that first month, which was tough. But if you're going to try it, just push through that first 4 to 5 weeks and you will stop feeling hungry. I promise. I never feel hungry now. That's the other thing. I'm never hungry. When it gets to lunchtime, I sometimes think, oh, I could skip lunch, but I know that it's better to eat lunch because it gives me the protein I need and it gives me the energy I need to carry on. It's not about feeling hungry or starving yourself. It's about feeding yourself right and giving yourself the right nutrients and looking after yourself better. So now I've cut out all the snacking and replaced it with healthy meals that are the right quantity of food for my body weight and height and size. I don't feel hungry at all anymore, and I feel like I've cracked the magic code. Anyway, that's it. I'm not an expert in any way at this. I've learned all of this by trial and error, by looking online, by reading websites and following people in the health and fitness industry and just getting a broad idea of what everybody else is doing and making it work for me. ChatGPT was my biggest friend in this, and Elena from the Vagabond was my biggest inspiration to get toned. So if you're on a journey to try and make yourself feel better, good luck with it. Let me know how it's going. And I think that's all I've got to say. Thank you for watching.